Is the system broken? Is the system fair? Do I look better with short hair or long hair? Please comment below. So I've had the displeasure to have been introduced to r/anti-work, and it's become r/work reform. So why I'm not a fan of this is because it reminds me of a young me. And it's kind of things like this that actually show me that. When I was younger, this would have set me off because I used to be one of those radical people that are like, this is not fair, the system needs to either change or burn because it's broken and it's not working for me. And I would complain and complain and complain, and I'd be complaining about things like this. This is the triangle of minimum wage. And yes, it does suck, which is why being a minimum wage worker does suck. And it basically is that you can't afford to have, all of these three things. You can only have two. Now, the logical choice here is rent and food. Those are two things you need. Fun is something that you don't. But I think fun is something that's actually very subjective. So when you say you can't afford to have fun, that's to assume that having fun costs money. And I'd also argue, at least I'll say what I've learned, is that you can have fun in ways that not only don't cost anything, but could actually make you money. But this is a bigger overarching point that I've learned about life in my, 32 years on this planet. And that's that life is like Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a very popular game now, and you buy this game and you die and you die and you die, and not only do you die, you lose horribly. You stand no chance. The game seems to teach you right from the get-go that where you are now sucks, and you suck and you don't stand a chance. Now, because of this, I actually returned the game initially, but later came back to it. And I think this is what is important in life, is when you try something, you may think it sucks, it's not fun. And that's how I felt about Elden Ring, that I was just getting my ass handed to me. Why is this supposed to be fun? But it is also sort of like life. When you start out in things, you're not always very good. And for a lot of us, not being good at something is not very fun. And I understand this. But just like Elden Ring, if you try something, whether that be a new skill or just doing something you haven't done before, you won't be good at it at first, and you might have some really bad experiences. But if you press on, things actually can get better. And this takes me back to the triangle of minimum wage. The idea of minimum wage is to suck. You are supposed to choose the food and the rent, and you're not supposed to have the fun until you get better. Then you get to have the fun. Now, what do I mean by getting better? I mean by making a marketable skill. And here's the interesting thing about that. When I'm playing this Elden Ring game, which I haven't really been playing a game for a while, I've finally taken some time in my life to have a little bit of that kind of fun. I notice things like I'm coming up with mnemonics to remember where things are. I'm trying to find ways to remember button mappings. And these are all things where I'm using my mental capacity to remember things to make me better at something that is unfortunately not going to pay off in the future. And this is where you're supposed to be, where you're at minimum wage. You shouldn't be having that kind of fun, the Elden Ring type of fun. You're supposed to be using those same skills that you can clearly demonstrate in things like this to actually learn something that can make you more marketable, to make you more useful to society. Unless I am extremely good at Elden Ring, which I am not, I am a scrub, I am not going to be of much use to society by playing Elden Ring. I don't really lend anything to society when I play Elden Ring. Now, I like playing it, but I've learned I have to keep that, in the background. That's fun, that kind of fun. But there's other kinds of fun. The skills I've learned that I use the same type of mental tricks to get better at, like programming, are things that actually make me money. And when you're making minimum wage, that's the way you're supposed to be using your mental capacity. You're not supposed to be thinking, well, that's not fun, because if you do, then it won't be fun. If you decide it's not going to be fun, if you decide it sucks, well, then it probably does until you give it another chance. And these things are, again, much like Elden Ring, where you're going to fail a lot, and the failure may not be fun. But eventually, when you start to get good at it, it is fun. Now, beyond that, Are we all just work slaves? Basically, there's the huge ruling class and they watch over us and laugh as we slave away at our work, and that's all there is to it. The system is broken, right? Well, I kind of disagree with that because, I did 4 years of college. That's all I really needed to get the job that I did. That and a lot of hard work and doing things on my own. I think I do pretty well with that. I'm not rich by any means, but I have a decent car. I've got a townhouse, a little on the old side, but I think it's pretty nice on the inside. And I'm happy with that. Honestly, there aren't that many things that I feel like I need that would make me much more happy. Because that's one thing I've learned is that material things, the amount of happiness that grants you is really, really fleeting. Like, I could afford right now to buy a new car, and I would like that new car for a little while. But the payments on the car would well outlive how much I like it, even if I make them as fast as I can, because material things get old fast. And what really makes you happy is being able to do something that you enjoy doing. Now, this is hard because I used to be in this position where there was this thing out there, unknowns to me, that I would really enjoy doing, and I just had no idea it was there. And even the first time going in, I didn't know it was there. I had to kind of stick with it, and I realized that I really, really enjoyed it. And again, this is what you're supposed to be doing when you're making minimum wage. You're supposed to be finding a skill set that lends itself better to helping society, but also makes you happy. Because honestly, the amount I get paid, while it is very important to me, what is almost as important is the fact that I enjoy my day to day. And that brings me into another thing. Is it okay to be a workaholic? Because that's something that people seem to see as a bad thing and maybe a sign that the system is broken. Well, I would definitely say I probably fit the definition of a workaholic. I mean, I work very hard at what I do. I let it define, to an extent, who I am, and I do things like I work overtime when I don't have to. I check email way more often than I'm required to. But I do it because I enjoy what I'm doing. I legitimately do. It's kind of like how, you play a video game and you might play more hours than you originally intended because you're enjoying the video game and you want to keep playing. And that's kind of how my career is to me. I mean, of all the aholics, I feel like workaholic may not even be a bad one, as long as you're not hurting yourself doing it and you're enjoying it. I see no problem with it. Another thing people bring up is the credit system. So I, up until somewhat recently, would say that the credit system is maybe not broken, but really unfair and stupid. And there are a lot of dumb things about it. But it's also really easy to game. All you need to do is get a credit card, make sure it has no annual fee, and make sure that the minimum spend is rather low, if any. And from there, all you need to do is either don't use it if you don't have to, or use it minimally. Like, get gas once a month and use your credit card to pay it, and then immediately just pay it off in the online thing. Beyond that, make sure you set up auto pay with your bank account and never spend money that you don't have in your bank account. You can use programs like Intuit Mint that will take your credit card balance and then take your bank account balance, and it will actually show you the difference between the two so that you can make sure that you're not spending money that you don't have. As long as you follow these rules, you'll be fine. And honestly, it can be a really passive way to build credit. It's easy. Now, of course, you're still not going to have the best credit in the world. You do have to take out loans, and that's just to say your loan is going to have a slightly higher interest rate than it would if you had had, say, another home loan or another car loan before that. But as far as systems go, it's almost no effort to game this one. But does this answer the question, is the system broken? Well, I think this is a really complicated question. But I'd say the answer is no, it's not broken. I've seen a lot of things that are broken. Things that are broken don't work as well as this system does. I have electricity flowing through my walls. I have internet that is not only coming through cables, but is literally wirelessly around me. I know it's not that bad. And if you have those things, which apparently you at least have, those two because you're watching this video, you gotta admit that things are not that bad. things get a lot worse than this. Is it fair? Is the system fair? No, and if you thought it was, or if you thought life was fair, I really want to know whoever gave you that idea, because I've never had anyone tell me that. I've never heard anyone tell anybody else that. I've also heard life is not fair a lot more times than the 0 I have heard life is fair. So life maybe isn't supposed to be fair, and I think that that's actually okay. I actually sort of pity people that are born into more wealth, because a lot of times they don't get the same rewards out of life that people like me have. I mean, honestly, a rich kid with a yacht that can buy whatever cars he wants, I've learned that material possessions don't give you that much joy over time, which is, I have the money, I could buy nice new stuff, and I don't. And the reason I don't is because I've learned the joy fades fast. But you know what I really do enjoy? I really enjoy my career. I like solving hard problems. I like when I get an idea, or I'm tasked with an idea that needs to become a reality, and making it a reality, seeing it come to life is just, I think that's a bigger joy than any yacht could ever bring me. So what's fair and what's not is really a moot point. It's really a dumb question. Is the system broken? The answer is no. I'd say it's not broken. Is it perfect? Far from perfect. Is it the best we've got right now? Yeah, it pretty much is. And here's the thing. If you spend your time complaining about how things aren't fair and how the system is broken, you won't do well for yourself. And that's the main reason I'm doing this video. I used to be like you if you're one of these people that just want to be upset about how things are unfair and voice that opinion. It's okay to voice it, but if you spend too much time in that headspace, that's time you could be spending actually bettering yourself and getting yourself to the position where things actually don't seem that bad. So I hope this helps somebody, and if you're past me, I don't know if past me would have listened to this, but good luck to you past me. Have a good night.